Hello my fashion lovers, welcome to today's tutorial. On today's tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to sew a 6-piece skirt. This is the simplest method of sewing a 6-piece skirt. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, click on the notification bell to be notified anytime I post a new video. To cut your 6-piece skirt, we are going to start with the length. The length of the skirt I'm working with is 41, and the width you're going to fold, you're going to use the biggest part of your body. If your hip is your biggest part of the body, that is what you're going to put on fold. You divide it by 4 and put it on fold. We are going to be cutting the first part using the bust measurement, the nipple to nipple measurement. That is the first one we are going to be cutting, the nipple to nipple measurement. And the nipple to nipple measurement I'm working with is 9 inches. We are going to impute that is the hip measurement, that is 9 inches from the waist. And for the knee, where your knee is going to be, your skirt length divided by 2 minus 2 inches, that is where your knee is, should be around 18 and 19 for your knee measurement. And we are taking the bust span, which is your bust span divided by 2. That is what you're going to mark on your waist, your hip. And when you come to your knee, you're going to remove ½ inch from the nipple to nipple measurement and mark. So on the waist and the hip, I have 4 inches. On the knee, I have 3.5 inches. You remove ½ inch from your nipple to nipple measurement to get your measurement. And for the down part, depending on how wide you want your down part to be, for the down part, I'm taking 10 inches. 10 inches, when I open it up, is going to be 20 inches. So on the down part, I'll be taking 10 inches and I'll connect it to the knee. Connect it to the knee. And that is all for the center front. This is for the center front. This is for the center front, and now we're going to cut. This is for the center front, and we're going to use this center front to cut the center back. We're going to use the center front to cut the center back. The only difference between the center front and the center back is just the zipper allowance. It's just the zipper allowance. So you are going to place it, put your zipper allowance and cut, because they are almost the same. Make sure you leave your zipper allowance. The zipper allowance I'm leaving is 1 inch. On the waist is 1 inch. On the hip is 1.5 inch. On the waist, I'm taking the zip allowance of 1 inch. On the hip, I'm taking 1.5, and on the knee, I'm taking 1 inch, because our back is not straight. To create that hip, so that your hip can sit very well. That is the essence of doing this. so that your hip can sit very well and avoid zip bulge. And now you're going to connect 1.5 inch on the hip. This is for the center back. We are using the center front to cut the center back. Mark your 1/8 zipper allowance and you connect. One and a half on the hip and 1 inch on the knee. Take the 1 inch down to the length. And now you're going to connect. That is for the center back. This will make your bum to sit very well on the skirt. It will make your bum to sit very well on the skirt. And this is what we have for the center back. And on the hip we are going to come up by 1/2 inch. We are going to come out by 1/2 inch to create that bum effect, because our bum is bigger at the back. Just come out by 1 inch to create that bum effect and connect. Now we're going to cut. This is the simplest method of cutting your 6-piece skirt. And now you're going to open up the zip allowance, because the back is going to be 2 patterns because of the zip, where the zip will be. You notch your zipper allowance to know where your zipper allowance is. And now we are going to draft the 2 sides of the back and front. The 2 sides of the back and front are the same. They are the same. The 2 sides of the back and the front, they are the same. So we are going to draft it. This is for the center back and the center front. Now to draft the middle, to draft the 2 sides, make sure you put your fabric on fold that will contain your full measurement. put your fabric on fold that will contain your full measurement. And the down part, I'm going to make it as wide as the same thing I have on the other part, which is 10 inches. This side is still going to be 10 inches wide. And you're going to turn it, the center front, you're going to turn it to get the exact shape you have on the middle part. You're going to turn it like this to get the same shape, so that when you're joining it, you won't have any fault joining it. So you're going to flip it to get this shape for the other side. Can you see the shape? You're going to get it at the other side. And when you are getting it, make sure that the remaining fabric you have folded will contain the two sides measurement, and you're going to put it on fold before you cut. You fold your fabric, put the middle part on it before you cut. Is on fold. The middle part, you're going to cut it once. It's going to be on fold. Now you have gotten the side. Now we're going to take our full measurement, the full body measurement. So you're going to flip it over again. You flip it over. Use your pin and pin it so that you get your full body measurement. You're going to mark it. That is the knee, where the knee, you're going to input your knee measurement. And this is the hip measurement. And the upper part is the waist measurement. Pin it so that you'll be able to get your accurate body measurement. Now we are going to take the full body measurement. On the waistline, you're going to divide your waist by 4, then add your 2 inches sewing allowance. On the waist part, you divide by 4 and add your 2 inches sewing allowance. On the hip, 2 inches sewing allowance. The hip measurement, you're going to divide by 4 and add your 2 inches sewing allowance. On the knee, whatever you have on your hip, what I have there is 15. I'm going to deduct 2 inches from it and place it on my knee, and that will be 13 inches. So what I have on my knee is 13 inches. Then you're going to connect. This is the two sides of the front. And for the down part, I'm taking 10 inches on this side too. I'm taking 10 inches, so I'm going to connect it. I'm connecting it to the end. And this is for the side. This is for the side. Now we're going to cut it out. And with this, we're going to use it to cut for the center, for the side back. We're going to use the same pattern to cut for the side back. And that is the simplest method of cutting your 6 pieces skirts. If you have any question, please ask in the comment section. And the next video that will be coming up is going to be the sewing video of the 6 pieces skirts. It's the sewing video of the 6 pieces skirts. And when you open it up, this is what you have. With this, you're going to use it to cut the back pattern. The two sides of the back is what you're going to use. This is what you have. And when you open it up, this is what you have. When you open it up, this is what you have. Please, if you ask any question, ask in the comment section. Please like, share my video. This is the simplest method of how to cut your 6 pieces skirt, suitable for beginners. Thank you very much. See you next time. Love you.